With a career spanning over 2 decades across multiple industries, including IT, telecom, and workforce solutions.
Each client, each manager, each team has a different expectation, a different need, and a different end goal. I've had the opportunity not just with US and Indian entities, but also Australian, Japanese, and British, that companies actually understand this. And it is the responsibility of the top leadership to implement a very strong corporate governance practice. What we've seen of AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning till date is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to come.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I am Rajesh Joshi, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with a dynamic leader in the world of talent acquisition and service delivery. With a career spanning over 2 decades across multiple industries, including IT, telecom, and workforce solutions, Shirish Morab has successfully led strategic transformations, built agile teams, and contributed to operational excellence on a global scale. Thank you for being here, Mr. Morab. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders. Your insights and leadership experiences are going to be invaluable to all our audience.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, for having me here, and I'm excited to share my thoughts, my
Mr.
experience.
Morab, I can assure you the pleasure is all ours, and of course for the viewers too. To start this journey, it is clear that your journey has been shaped by both adaptability and a forward thinking approach. I imagine there must have been so many interesting stories along the way. So let's get into it, shall we?
Definitely, yes.
Mr. Morab, you've had an impressive career spanning over 15 years. What inspired you to venture into operations and talent acquisition? And how has your journey evolved since then?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. My venture into talent acquisition was a twist of destiny, while my foray into operations and service delivery was a gradual progression. A book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, the name is Sky's the Limit, changed the way I looked at the world. I started adding skills and knowledge instead of chasing promotions and appraisals. I started showing genuine respect towards everybody, every human being, right from the housekeepers to my CEO. So the main goal became to add value to the organization and people's lives rather than being very self-centric and so on. Well, earlier there were a lot of situations where I was close to failure, or making the same mistakes again and again. And then after a lot of trial and error, I realized that I was too rigid and needed to be flexible, adaptable, which led me to become pretty adaptable, opening myself to new ideas and new outlooks. This helped me a lot in connecting with people and at any level. So this helped me a lot. So yep.
Great, great. Mr. Morab, I have been doing this for quite some time now, and I must acknowledge and accept the fact that when a conversation actually starts with a person's self-realization and actually the person trying to understand or getting to know as to what exactly is his calling,
Yes.
and the changing points, the turning points, if I may say so, in his life, and the impacts that they have had on your life, and you taking these impacts and creating meaning to a whole lot of people's lives. That's an interesting way to start this conversation, and I am excited and enthralled.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you so much.
fantastic, sir.
Yes.
You manage teams for clients like HCL, Infosys, and state agencies. What unique strategies did you implement to manage such high stakes projects successfully?
Well, yeah, from early on, I learned one thing, that none of the clients are the same. And each client, each manager, each team has a different expectation, a different need, and a different end goal, right? So this understanding made me to slow down, and not rush through things to just make an impression. But I took my time, did my research, spoke to all the stakeholders multiple times if I had questions, and then came up with a plan. So once I understood what the client needs, right? So, and I started building teams, processes, KRAs around those needs and goals with very clear workflows, accountability, deliverables, and, our internal goals, right? So they were in line with what the client wanted. So I would try not to be a lone warrior, trying to fight it out alone. So I spoke with internal stakeholders, SMEs. I used to run my plans through them again and again to find out, where the pitfalls are, or am I, practical enough, things like that. So this allowed me to adapt and make changes at the planning stage itself. So also, it gave us enough room to make changes while on the go, right? When there were challenges or change requests suddenly cropped up, right, from the client side, or we just rolled up our sleeves and analyzed what options we have, pros and cons, putting together contingency plans and their subsequent execution. So in all of this, I also believe that communication played a very, very important role. So when all the stakeholders are communicating clearly, continuously, it may be a simple status update or getting a buy-in of your plans, implementation plans, and seeking or giving feedback and opinions. Communication is being exchanged, continuously. This reduces a lot of assumptions and imaginations, and this keeps transactions clear and transparent. So communication and so thorough planning, flexibility, open communication did not just get us success on the given project, but also got us very, very positive feedback, and also repeat business from the customers. And we use these feedbacks, and we went to other clients and got their businesses too. So all these three aspects played a very important role in handling these, important clients. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's a really effective approach, if I may say so, and it clearly demonstrates how thoughtful planning can make such a big difference in managing complex projects. And that, I believe, is a fantastic approach to the entire process, sir.
Yep. Thank you. Well, and we used to approach, be it a big client or a small client. For example, a lot of times what used to happen, these large clients at certain point would reduce their business. There would be a lot of competition there. But, we used to go with the same approach even for towards a small client, right? A small customer. And they used to grow, and their business used to become a major factor for us. So yeah, same approach for all the clients. So it works every time.
With your experience in both US based and Indian operations, how have you managed the cultural differences in workforce management?
Very good question, actually. I've had the opportunity not just with US and Indian entities, but also Australian, Japanese, and British.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but here I would like to talk about the US and the Japanese work cultures, which I think are very effective. First thing I liked about the US work culture is they're not a hierarchy-based, operations or, management kind of thing. They are more performance-based. So seniority doesn't matter there. It is more about your presentation and your productivity and things like that matter a lot. Okay. And discipline, punctuality, and dedication is something we have to learn from the Japanese, right? So once we had this situation where the executive director of a company called Rakuten, it's a Japanese e-commerce company. So we had set up a program manager's interview with this person in Japan. So, the Indian person joins about 22 seconds, not even 22 minutes. He joins about 22 seconds late and waits for about 3-4 minutes, and then calls us that, hey, the interviewer is not on the call now. And then when I spoke with, the person in Japan, he told me that I waited for 12 seconds.
My.
So, and then I realized, you see, 10, 12 seconds was a big thing for him. For us, it's like chalta hai, right? So that, told me so much about their culture, how particular they are, right? And so these things, I want, a lot of Indian organizations to actually imbibe in their culture. And many modern Indian firms have picked up these values and practices, and many have evolved. I also usually most of the IT companies which work with multinational clientele, they have these practices in their systems now. But it is good to see that even traditional Indian firms have slowly started, adopting global best practices, which give them, the leverage to compete on the global economy, global business fields. So yeah, I see that change happening. But yeah, and when it came to setting up delivery centers or center of excellence, what we found out was the biggest challenge to set up these things were not just the cost benefit, but also the quality standards had to be maintained, and then the operational efficiency, and bringing in smart and good people on board who could understand, who could stand up to the challenge. So basically hiring smart people. And cost saving was always there. Whenever it moves from an on-site to an offshore arrangement, there is cost saving, but at the cost of what, right? So it became very important for us to add business value to the whole proposition now, and robust processes, skilled people, systems and tools, continuous improvement and continuous training. These When all these came together, the company performance automatically improved, right? So this whole idea about moving it from on-site to offshore actually worked then, right? When all these aspects came together. Yeah.
Right, right. Mr. Morab, it is amazing indeed that when you actually cut across geographies and try and understand various cultures and also get opportunities actually to interact with these cultures, on a very wide demographic scale. So all these good practices that global leaders or global companies have already started practicing and have actually benefited by adopting these policies. Maybe a Japanese work culture ethic may not have been as acceptable in an American work culture, but they have realized its value and they've accepted it. And I'm glad that you pointed out that Indian companies too are making all those efforts to try and adapt these and
Yes.
maybe try and localize them as per the Indian ways, but at least
Yes.
they're getting
Yes.
somewhere.
True, true. Companies like Prolim, Enterprise Logic, these are the companies, some of the companies that I've worked with, DivIHN Integration, never had an offshore center or a delivery center here in India. And when we started getting them, here, we were able to show somewhere between a 20 to 40% cost saving now. But then, reduction in their cost.
Right.
But then, these savings were again, diverted into the business development and the sales efforts on, in their respective countries. And this improved business. So it was not just cost saving, but it was also, adding to the bottom line itself by allowing them to focus on the sales and get business while the operation happened from here. So in case of Rakuten, we set up their very high level, center of excellence in Bangalore, and we kind of staffed them, build the whole facility for them. So it was a great experience. And then till then, I had worked with, the Americans, the Britishers, but working with Japanese was a great experience, a lot of things to learn. Yeah.
Yes, oh yes, I totally agree with that, and I'm sure it must have really been exciting and thrilling. I mean, the excitement and the joy actually shows on your face when you talk about the learnings that you have gotten from working with the Japanese. You mentioned about the cost, and we just kind of bordered around the financial statements and so on. From your perspective, how vital is corporate governance when it comes to building trust and ensuring transparency in global operations, particularly in fast moving industries like telecom and IT?
Yep. Well, you see now, if you look at companies, large organizations like Accenture, IBM, General Electric, even Indian companies like Adani or Reliance, they might call it by different names, right? But they're managing that that scale of diversified operations, and they may call it by different names. But when you dig deeper, it's all a robust corporate governance backbone that is existing within these organizations, right? And now I believe that corporate governance is not just a set of rules or standards, but it has a lot of aspects to it. And be it the processes, the systems, people, culture, mission and value, okay, and even adhering to regulations, right? Laws of the land, be it financial or workforce or worker relations. All these come together to form the corporate governance backbone now.
Right,
So
right.
I feel that it is very important that companies actually understand this, and it is the responsibility of the top leadership to implement a very strong corporate governance practice, and not just roll it out and forget it there, but it has to be imbibed into the organizational values now, right?
Mhm.
It has to come down. Even the last employee of the organization must know what the standards are, right?
Right.
And this thing is not just going to help them in terms of business. It definitely improves business confidence, right? At the same time, it reduces risk at every level. So a robust corporate governance practice actually reduces risk at every level. It improves shareholder and investor confidence with with a strong corporate governance structure in place. The organization can focus on its core business, right? And stop worrying or worry less about non-core aspects. So I think that corporate governance is really important for an organization to grow and adapt to the today's business needs now.
Building on this, to be more specific, if I may,
Mhm.
uh, how you see strong governance practices influencing the success of international teams?
Well, you see now, uh, just in my situation itself, I have the salesperson in New York, the client in California. My team is sitting here in India. So if there is no governance, there are a set of principles and standards and values that we adhere to. First thing, like simple things like ethics, ethical practices, trust, right, and accountability. So taking ownership and response. So these things actually are automatically imbibed in the whole process now,
Mhm.
because this has come down as culture and values from our management, right? And this is driven every day on a daily basis, or within the employees, right, and the team members. So it becomes easier to manage the whole thing, right? And today, even if I'm not there in my office, I'm sure that my team members are not going to do anything unethical, because I know that they've understood those principles now. And so with a strong corporate governance structure in place, this whole thing works smoothly, right? Now if that those standards or those values, principles were not there, then we have to get into micromanaging, see at every step what is happening, who's doing what, and things like that. But with corporate governance, I think that is sorted out. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just a few minutes back, you also emphasized the point about communication.
Yep.
While you were talking about managing projects, you emphasized the point about communication and some sort of a uniformity in
Yes.
terms of how people respond, which in itself adds to the credibility of the organization. I mean,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. So, for example, I would like to bring, an example about, cyber security,
Mhm.
right? Today, the world is going haywire because of cyber attacks and a lot of fraud attempts and things like that. So what we decided in our organization is to build a cybersecurity, knowledge platform. And this was communicated. So we made sure that every employee of the organization, even be it a reporting or a data entry person, goes through this session, and that is communicated, right? So if you just make a cyber security program and just leave it there, it's not going to work. It has to be, transferred from person to person, level to level, to the last level. So that person knows when he's clicking on a link, what he has to check. If he's opening an attachment, what he needs to look for. So that is how communication and corporate governance, so that practice is there. So everyone is aware, right? Making everyone in the organization aware of these things is more important, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that makes so much sense, especially in industries where trust, transparency are key to maintaining global partnerships.
Yes,
Absolutely, Mr. Mora. What you're saying definitely makes sense.
yes.
I just remember, in my early days of employment, our MD used to say that it has to be in your DNA and it
Yes,
has to be built in your DNA.
yes,
And,
yes.
I believe that's what is coming forth here.
Definitely, yes.
Given your expertise in workforce solutions, how do you see the future of talent acquisition evolving, especially in the context of technological advancements like AI and automation?
Well, yeah, we have had a lot of discussions, about it. What we have seen of AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning till date is just the tip of the iceberg.
Mhm.
There's a lot more to come, and industrial automation, software automation are already, they've started playing an important role in a business and business optimization, improving efficiency and things like that. But a lot of work has been going on the, even on the talent acquisition side. There are a lot of tools promising a lot of things, but till date, I think the human aspect is not redundant, right? We still need people to do those things, right? The AI, the bots have not been, it is still picking up. Okay. So, but work is continuously happening. I see a lot of clients, customers coming to us with, requisitions or projects for machine learning and things like that. The future, if you ask me, would many skills, many jobs, roles might become obsolete because of AI. And at the same time, it is also bound to open a lot of, other roles, like, for example, prompt engineering, right? And robotics and things like that, and many more, right? So the next challenge would be actually for the workforce, people seeking, jobs, people just still getting educated. Tomorrow they would be out there in the job market, for them to upskill and keep up with the changes in the next decade, right? So, yeah, we're also just watching, a lot of things are happening, right? Yeah.
It was fascinating, and it is really heartening to know that there's still a human element involved when it comes to recruitment. Because
Yes.
I've been hearing a lot of disgruntled, people who continuously keep on saying that the HR person just came back and said, "Well, your CV was not shortlisted by our system because there were no keywords in the CV." And well, I didn't have anything to say, but now I'm going to go back and tell them, "Oh, no, no, there is a human, there is a human element there,
Yes, yes.
so keep
You see,
trying."
yeah, because you see, at a certain point, the AI or the bots are unable to find out if the person is still interested. That human aspect of finding the interest levels, and talking about the projects, that's still not, it's still at a very nascent stage. They're not able to screen the candidate in all the aspects, right? So if there are companies just using bots or AI or machine learning tools to shortlist resume, I think that's not the right way to do it. They still have to, get the person, talk to the candidate, because, people have hidden skills, hidden talents. So that can be identified only by a human contact, right? So, yeah.
And it is really fascinating to hear how technology is evolving in recruitment. But it is great that the human element still plays such a crucial role.
Yes.
I'd love to hear, looking at your journey with Directors Institute, how has your overall experience been so far? And looking back to when you first started,
Yeah.
what's that one thing that really stood out to you?
Well, I'm really very happy with my journey with DI or Directors Institute, and I follow them keenly on LinkedIn. I see the work they have been doing in the field of corporate governance, not just in India, even abroad. I see them doing a lot of work. I see their content being put on LinkedIn, and I make sure that I'm going through all of those, and then they're really good inputs, right? And there's been a lot of learning, and the best part is that everyone is very forthcoming with help and information, right? It is not that they just gave me the content and asked me to study. Whenever I want, I get that help. I get to speak to people, and I also get the guidance whenever required, okay, which makes the learning process interesting and exciting. So I believe that connecting with the Directors Institute was one of the best decisions I ever made. And one thing really stood out is their content, both soft and the hard copy content. It makes the learning process much more easier. And of course, it is organized, but they can make a little improvement on that, right? But it is very helpful, right? And they are even the content is very well researched, organized, and the people are very good. So I'm really enjoying it. Yep.
Great, great. It is always great to know that we have exceeded expectations, and the feedback that you have given will definitely be put in the improvement task for the relevant department. You can be said.
Thank you.
Mr. Morab, we truly appreciate you taking the time to share your journey with us today. It's been a pleasure hearing about your experiences and the lessons that you have gained from your work. We at Directors Institute wish you continued success as you move forward, and we are excited to see what comes next in your already impressive career.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thanks a lot. And I also thank Directors Institute for this opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to be associated with the Directors Institute for a pretty long time in the future, in times to come. And I already feel confident that the knowledge gained here is going to be put to good use and helping organizations in their missions. So thank you so much again. Yeah,
That's fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Morab.
you're welcome.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you've all found as much inspiration and insight in today's conversation as I have. We look forward to bringing more remarkable leaders and their stories to you in our upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, stay inspired, and remember to enjoy the journey. This is Rajesh Joshi signing off.